Onside tonight, a triple bill to savour. From Russia with love, the world's most famous ever gymnast. A man for all seasons will be tackling England's rugby captain. And the French connection, a blonde who really does have more fun. Alongside studio guests Olga Korbut, Dallaglio and Thomas Castaignede, will be going to the greatest stage in golf, where in the build-up to the Augusta Masters, we'll talk to former winner Sandy Lyle and the oldest swinger in town, Alan Hanson.
Where you go? Easy game.
And from the deep south to the far north, reaction to Blackburn against Manchester United. Where's the balance of power now in the title race? All tonight, Onside. But first up tonight, someone who for a time in the 1970s was the most famous woman in the world.
Gasps of approval for that. Oh, beautiful. Oh, they love that. That is beautiful. 17 years of age. Look at that. Spontaneous joy from the girl that's brought the house down, as it were.
Would you welcome a lady who charmed the world when she was just a gym slip of a girl, Olga Korbut. So tell me, did you realise quite how famous you were around the world in 1972?
No. I didn't expect this because I became a star overnight. And even when I came back to Russia, I didn't feel that because government never talked about that. And I felt when I moved to United States 7 years ago.
That was the first time you realised quite what an impact you'd made.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking beforehand, and the 1972 Olympics are remembered as your Olympics, but also as the terrible tragedy of the Israeli athletes who were all killed. But is it right you didn't know anything about that?
No, as government kept a secret from us. And when we came to Moscow, and we can believe this has happened, and we started to ask questions, why you kept from us, and they didn't say anything.
Now, those Olympic Games, they did capture the whole world's imagination. There were three of you, Ludmila Teresheva, Nelly Kim, and yourself. Were you friends?
No. Why are you laughing? This is no, because gymnastics is individual sport. Even we compete together for the team, and always hate each other.
Really?
Yeah.
And have you made friends since then?
Uh-uh.
No? But at that time, we had in the West an idea of Soviet athletes, East European athletes, that they were very stern, they never smiled. But you smiled all the time. Was that your decision, or did they tell you to smile?
I always smile. Now, if bad situation or good situation, I always smile. Because I'm born in gymnastics. Gymnastics was my life even now.
Mm-hmm. But at that time, you were seen as different to everybody else in the team. Did you think you were being used as a political pawn by the Soviet Union, that they were using sport as an instrument to show the rest of the world that the Soviet system was better?
I think they are, but I didn't understand this. I didn't even think about it. I just did gymnastics, that's all. This is why this is my life. And even now, my students keep me in good shape because...
You can see that.
Yeah, I always show them and they learn better and faster. And I don't know how I can live without gymnastics.
Did you make a lot of money?
Wait.
In the 70s, in Russia?
No.
So how come, when you decided to go to America, did you feel there was money to be made in America? What made you leave Russia and go there?
No, I didn't think about money because after when I finished gymnastics, I was in the United States. They invited me to raise money for Barcelona for Olympic Games, yes. And I like people very much. They smile like me, and I feel like this is my country. And about money, I have money. I mean, I work, and I feel good.
Now, in those days of the Soviet bloc, you refused to join the Communist Party, didn't you? Did that have problems for you over there?
I didn't think about it, but after when I finished gymnastics and I was a head coach, this is why I touched the problem, because I couldn't go with my team to another countries because I was in the Communist Party, and this is why I moved to the United States. And this is, of course, I don't understand what is that.
So now, as an American, how do you look back on those days? Do you think the system was wrong?
Yeah, because how they can keeping me over there? I couldn't go anywhere, and like I couldn't be somebody. This is crazy.
You were a property of the state.
Yeah. Why now, when Gorbachev opened the door, everybody moved from there,
But one good thing about those days, because I've read many articles about you now in America, and you are coaching gymnasts in America, and you say that the American gymnasts don't train hard enough. They have a life too easy compared to when you were training in the Soviet Union.
Yeah, this is a problem in the United States. When I started to work 2 or 3 years first, I didn't understand why they are so lazy. They don't want anything. But when I asked them, do you want to be Olympic champion and have a lot of money? Oh, yeah. But I said, do you ready to work hard?
Whereas you, as a young girl in the Soviet Union, you had nothing. You were just gymnastics and that's all.
Yes, why I would like to open build a camp for underprivileged people, children who can't afford, because I'm from not wealthy family. And why my mother didn't know I took gymnastics. She watched TV and saw me on TV. I was a national champion. And she said, that's my daughter,
Where did she think you'd been?
No, I have 3 sisters and a big family, and my father and mother worked very hard, and they didn't know where are we, And
how do you think people in Russia now, how do you think they look back at you and the golden era of gymnastics?
When I don't live anymore over there, they want me back, but I don't want it. Even just visit, I don't want it, because my life was tragedy. And, I'm from poor family, and then I start to be somebody. don't let me go over there. You know, my memories is no very good.
Can you still go on the bars and the rings and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, these elements what you watch right now, but very simple elements, and I can compete in my age now, but we don't have rules for like me.
And can you do the splits?
Yeah.
Do you want to do the splits now?
I told you didn't tell me to wear pants.
Well, it's fantastic to see you, and I know an awful lot of people were really excited about the prospect of seeing you on television again, because it's been a long time. Thank you so much for coming.
I'm very happy I'm in London again.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Olga Korbut, everybody. Well, a pretty crucial game in the Premiership tonight, and this is how it finished. Blackburn 1, Manchester United 3. And Blackburn actually went ahead through a Chris Sutton goal, but goals from Cole, Scholes and Beckham. Afterwards, their manager, Alex Ferguson, spoke to Garth Crooks.
Alex, just how significant was that performance tonight?
Well, the performance didn't match the result. The result was a very significant result, because this time of year, every game gets harder. And there's not going to be any easy matches, as we found out in the first half. And I have to say, and I'm going back in my recall of games, that I can't remember a team giving us a doing like that.
Back in pole position, Arsenal are now under pressure.
Well, I hope they are. It was a good result for us tonight. You can't dismiss that.
It would appear that throughout the game, you made your feelings known. You were very passionate. It was a passionate performance. Signs that you really want to win this championship.
Well, I think the players know that, right? It's something you never lose in life, and hopefully, in situations like tonight, the team mirrors you as you manage my thoughts in life and get the game, and I think that in the main they did that.
On Friday, Liverpool. If you get a result there, Arsenal have twice as many games to play than you. How significant is that?
Well, obviously, we know it's going to be always a hard game against Liverpool. It's a local derby. It's a lot of passion in the game. But the players know they've had a warning tonight, and I hope that's the last warning they need.
I don't think I've seen Manchester United with such a gritty second-half performance. What did you say to him at half-time?
Well, I mean, just something. There's no point in talking about what I said. I think the most important thing was to get them to impose themselves. And I think, bringing Nicky Butt on gave us a bit of determination in the centre midfield. I allowed me to put Scholes in a position where they found it difficult to get to. And I think that was important to get a foot back in the game. But the turning point for me was Andy Cole's goal. That brought us right back in it as a goal or nothing, to be honest with you. He's chased the ball down into the corner flag. He's turned his centre back. He's drew the goalkeeper and he's swatted it away. I mean, you can't get a more exciting goal than that. And the problem for Blackburn was then they knew they'd been the better team for 45, maybe 55 minutes, and they've given us a doing. And after only 10 minutes the second half, we're back in level terms, and I think that was a deciding factor.
A clear message today that United are not going to give up the title.
We're not wanting to give it up, and I think that with the second half, determination and fight shows you what champions are made of in that respect. But they didn't play like them, and hopefully they can play better on Monday and Friday and still get a result.
Congratulations, well done.
Well done, guys. Right.
And that's how the table looks now. Manchester United still 6 points clear, but Arsenal with 3 games in hand. It really is going to go down to the wire. We're going to talk more football a bit later on, but on Thursday, the Masters begins at Augusta. The Tiger burnt brightly last year, but 10 years ago, it was this man who burnt up the course. And would you welcome, wearing that same jacket, from Georgia, Sandy Lyle. Sandy, everybody always says that the Augusta is one of the most, if not the most, special golf course in the world. What is it about it that attracts it to you?
Well, it's an unbelievable golf course. I mean, it's tough. There's mentally, physically, and the picturesque, dramas, the whole lot all happens in one package of this week. Was that your proudest moment, or did the Open Championship supersede that? Oh, they both were great achievements, but I think the Masters was, for me, from leading from the sort of day one and holding it there right till Sunday, playing off late on Sunday afternoon, finishing And it was a mental strain, I can tell you. There was lots of ups and downs at the A-men's corner, the 3 putts, and the going in the water at the 12th. You know, your heart's down here and it's up here 1 minute, and momentum was going backwards, forwards, and Calcavecchio in front obviously was holding a good game, and down the last stretch it was a really tight finish.
Now, you talk about your heart. How does your heart feel when you go back to Augusta every year? Obviously, I imagine happiness at what happened 10 years ago, but is there also frustration at the fact that the dip in form that you've suffered in recent years?
Well, the frustration really from winning the tournament has overwhelmed the frustration side. And obviously it'd be nice to be competing at a high level every year, and it's obviously golf's not always that way. It's not like a job, you know, you can predict yourself. This game is very much ups and downs and swings and roundabouts, and obviously I'd like to have performed a little better in the last 4 or 5 years, but you know, 10 years ago, it's you know, just look forward to keep playing here. I enjoy being here. This lovely sunny weather we have here, you can see them face him, and nose is getting burned, and it's terrible.
But how big is the gulf, do you think, between being a top 10 and a contender and being with the pack?
It's a very small amount. It's really down to how well you putt that day and how well you position the shots. You see the Tiger last year, I mean, some of the scores he shot there, he never missed a putt from 5-6 feet, never had a 3-putt, and that's a huge advantage to have to play this golf course, because there's going to have some very fast greens this year. I can tell you that right now. I've been out here this morning and playing on a Monday morning, and the greens are fast even now.
Is it the mind that goes or the swing that goes first?
Well, when you get to the age of 40, I'm not sure what goes after a while. Yeah, I think the concentration, the mind, the body can let yourself down a little bit. You've got to keep yourself in reasonable trim all the time. But if you're not playing very well, it's a confidence thing in the end. You've got to work at it really hard and keep it going.
So can you empathise in a way with someone like Ian Baker Finch, who was an Open champion 7 years ago and has virtually given the game up now because he reckons he just can't cope anymore?
Yeah. Well, I can very much feel for him, and I know the sort of hard things he's gone through, and it looks like Baker Finch as it was in the early 90s. He looks very slim, he's fairly confident, but on the golf course he's just not performing. There's been gurus that have tried to help him out in his golf swing, and he's just struggling with it at the moment, and I think he's going to give it a rest for a little while and maybe come back in the year or so's time.
Now, assuming you're not about to be run over by that lorry that's backing behind you, you mentioned Tiger Woods. I know a lot of golfers get fed up with talking about the Tiger Woods phenomenon, but we'll ask you anyway. What do you make about this extraordinary individual?
Well, he is. He's just one of these guys that comes around every so often, and sometimes there's 2 or 3 of these guys come through. We've got our Lee Westwood at the moment that seems to be performing very nicely over here, and I'm sure he'll be a hard man to beat even around this golf course. And Tiger Woods is just one of these phenomena, I would tell you, that's come through. Very powerful player, confident, and a lot of potential. And obviously he's shown us already what he can do.
Well, I know sitting alongside you there is somebody who's forsaken soccer management to be the biggest bandit on a golf course anywhere. And that's Alan Hanson, everybody. Do you fancy playing the course, Alan?
Well, I've walked the course the last couple of days, and certainly I don't think I've had any problems tee green, but the greens are unbelievable here. I think I'd be 6 or 7 putting every green. They're so undulating, they're so quick. I'm just happy to be here. I mean, this is a fantastic place. It's everything I thought it would be. You talk about 100,000 people at Wembley. Well, I'll tell you what, this is the business, this place. It's unreal.
What about your first impressions when you got there?
Well, when I came down the drive, I thought this is all about history and the charisma and tradition of the place, and certainly I wasn't disappointed. When I went to the golf course, I went down to 12, 13 and 15, and the holes are just sensational. It's completely different from watching the television. Actually being here for the practice days and looking at the courses, as I said at the start, it's just
hilly,
fantastic.
isn't it?
Yeah, it's I mean, the hills in the course have been well documented, so I expected that. What I didn't expect were the undulating greens, and the 12th hole, which is a very dangerous hole. When you get down there, the target is so tight, it's unreal. I can imagine a Sunday afternoon like these fellas having a 6 or 7 iron in their hand trying to play to that hole. I mean, you'd just be tweaking everywhere.
Sandy, I know you gave Alan a lesson this afternoon. What do you reckon he'd go round in?
125, he said to me.
That was the heat, I think.
I'm going to put my big foot in it now, but I think even the average player, low handicapper, maybe 8 handicapper, would be struggling to break 80, I can tell you.
What about the European prospects, Alan, from your perspective as a golf watcher?
Well, I'd love the Europeans to do well. Obviously, Sandy said Lee Westwood won last week, and he's absolutely flying at the minute. It would be great for the likes of Sandy and Nick Faldo to do well, because the champions here, the great players. I just hope that the Europeans put up a great show. You know, we've got some great players. You've got Woosnam and Darren Clark. You've got Bernard Langer, who's won twice here. It'd just be nice to come Sunday afternoon to have 3 or 4 Europeans at the top of the leaderboard.
Now, I know you'd actually rather have been at Ewood Park in Blackburn tonight than being out there at Augusta. But what do you make of...
Of course.
What do you make of 3-1 United? Because the race is still on, isn't it?
Well, I think that's a terrific result for Manchester United. You know, Arsenal have had this run where they've been winning 1-0, and the pressure's all been in Manchester United, but they've gone away from home against a top 6 side, and they've produced the goods. You know, they haven't had a great time recently, but this was a tremendous test of character for them. And now the pressure's right back on Arsenal. Now, Arsenal have got to go to Blackburn, they've still got to go to Liverpool. I still think they've got it all to do. You know, if I was putting my money on anybody, I'd still put it Manchester United. A terrific result for them tonight.
OK, we'll have a really tough week, I'm sure you will. And thanks for talking to us.
I'll tell you.
and Sandy, the very best of luck. Let's hope we see you on the leaderboard this week as well. Alan Hanson, Sandy Lyle, everybody. We've got extensive coverage of the Masters here on BBC Television. The preview on Wednesday at 7. Live coverage starts BBC 2, 9 o'clock on Thursday. Now, coming up, England rugby captain Lawrence Dallaglio and the star of the French rugby team's Grand Slam success yesterday, Thomas Castaignede. But if Tiger Woods' influence in encouraging black people to take up golf can't be underestimated, meet now someone who's hoping to have the same effect on horse racing. He's really pumped up for the new flat race season, as Clare Balding found out.
Just 1 second. Excuse me, how much for a wash and vacuum, please?
I think it cost about £20, but I'm sorry, I don't do that job anymore. I was 18 when I first sat on a racehorse. When I was growing up, I never really had an idea what I wanted to do. I had mixed thoughts with karate and also being in the Army Cadets. My Uncle Ken got me involved in racing. He wanted to be a jockey all his life. He was too big and too heavy, so he wanted somebody in the family to fulfill his ambition.
Royston Ffrench may sound the sort of aristocratic name well suited to these ancient surroundings, but it's been a long jump from a factory and a garage in Telford to this place, the home of trainer Luca Cumani. With an English mother and a Jamaican father, Royston is the youngest of 15 children and the first coloured jockey to hold a flat licence in Britain. 77 winners last season made him champion apprentice, and his sights are set high in the world of the professional.
It's obviously champion jockey, but with having only just lost my claim, you know, I'm not too sure how things are going to go, but I'm going to give it 110% and, you know, obviously try and become champion jockey one year.
Coming late into the world of racing, Royston is a natural horseman, his style modelled on a more famous Luca Cumani protégé.
Well, when I first come into racing, my idol was Frankie Dettori, so every time there was racing on, that's who I just kept an eye on. And obviously, with working with Mr. Cumani, knowing his apprentices go to America, that's one of the things that I was looking forward to. And try and adapt to the American style to try and copy Frankie, really.
Frankie achieved the same success, or rather was champion apprentice at a younger age than Royston. So Royston is just got a little bit more mature, and he started a little bit later, having had experience of other jobs, which meant that he was a bit more grown up in his attitude to life and to work.
The second day of the flat season and a big turnout at Doncaster to watch the feature race, the Spring Mile. Royston is a long shot to be champion jockey, but his family are on hand to wish him well in his first turf race as a senior. Well, Royston, your mother's here, your uncle's here. Not often they come to the races, is it?
No, not at all. Normally they're all working, but they've come up today, and hopefully we'll be able to do something good for them.
Come on, Royston! Get it up there!
Spring Mile's always a tough one to get. My horse run first time out this year, and he ran as well as expected, really.
How surprised are you that he's adapted so quickly to the way of life?
I just can't believe it. I knew he was always going to do something, but not this quickly and not so good. Yeah, but I'm really, really proud of him.
He's a very bright boy and things are going well for him. He's improving each year with his riding. There's no reason why he shouldn't have a good future. All he has to do is work hard and be very dedicated and enjoy riding his horses.
He's most effective in whatever he does, you know. I mean, he can sit in behind and ride a waiting race, or he can be up with a pace and ride from the front. I mean that's a talent that not many of the jockeys have got, and he's a very fortunate lad. So is Mr. Kamani, who's been using him most of the time.
It is a very, very good thing that he's the first coloured jockey, and it just goes, you know, it goes to show that we live in different times, in modern times, and we need to bring in all sorts of people from all ethnic groups. I'm all for that.
Do you look at Tiger Woods and say, I've seen what he can do, I can do that?
Well, yes, but even before that, I wanted to do it because no one ever, you know, no one black's ever really succeeded in racing. So, you know, I wanted to do it for myself more than anything.
Well, a different kind of Frenchman in a moment, but first meet a man who was a true lion last summer and who this season is the wasp that's really got England buzzing to a triple crown, Lawrence Dallaglio. You shook my hand. Everybody's been reading in the papers about what did or didn't happen on Saturday night. Let's get it out the way. What happened?
Well, there's no problem as far as I'm concerned. Bit of a storm in a teacup. I was actually going to bring his shirt in tonight just to dispel any rumours that there was any problems. I just took a little bit of exception to some of the things that were going on the rugby pitch, and it's all fine now.
Well, all the great alleged row was about you and David Corkery, the Irish flanker, not shaking hands at the end of the game, but you did swap shirts, and that's the end of it as far as you're concerned. OK, so that's one row out the way. What about the row that's blighting your game at the moment between the game's governing body and the clubs? Whose side are you on?
Well, I'm in the middle, aren't I? There's no doubt about that. I mean, I'm captain of Wasps, the club, and I'm now captain of England. So for people to say, well, you know, concentrate on the rugby, don't worry about it, it's a very difficult position to be in because, in a sense, you know, I've got to take a position from both sides. And obviously this row's been going on for a couple of years now, and it doesn't surprise me, really, as to you know, the new twists and turns that you hear about every week.
But you say you're in the middle. The Rugby Football Union are offering you, allegedly, £1 million to sign an exclusive contract with the Rugby Football Union and not to sign for Wasps. What are you going to do?
Well, as I say, I mean, at the moment, I've got a contract with Wasps, so I'm going to see out that contract, and that's for another year. And any talk of a contract with the RFU is pure speculation. And
so you won't sign for the Rugby Union for the next 12 months?
No. No, I'm with Wasps. I'm captain of Wasps. I've got another year there. And I'm, you know, I believe in club rugby. You know, I believe that club rugby's got a huge future. But as captain of England, I also want England to be successful. And I don't think under the existing structure that that's possible. I've played against Ireland on Saturday. I've got a league game tomorrow night against Newcastle. And I've got another league game this coming weekend. So that's 3 games in a week. And you know, there's not many rugby players that can cope with that sort of schedule.
What do you think is the point of the Five Nations Championship these days? And what have England got out of beating 3 teams that they expected to beat?
Difficult question, really. I mean, you know, England obviously want to win every game, and we've managed to do that, apart from the French game, which was a huge, huge disappointment. But it was a New England team when it came together, and I think what we're trying to do is create a style which we believe can be successful against the dominant forces in world rugby. You know, and the games we played pre-Christmas against Australia, New Zealand, South Africa were fantastic. But you have to be able to beat Ireland, Scotland, France, you know, Wales, whoever. So I think we've got something out of the Five Nations in terms of our development. We didn't win every game, so it wasn't an outstanding success, but we've got another opportunity in the Southern Hemisphere this coming summer.
Now, looking at the World Cup in a year and a bit's time, do you think England are serious contenders?
All I think you want as England captain is to be on a level playing field, and I don't really think we are at the moment internationally. The structure of the season over here is not such that England are going to be able to compete. And you look at our cricket team, You know, and we've just been hammered pretty convincingly by the West Indies. You look at the football team, and we drew with Switzerland, who aren't even in the World Cup. And you have to say that we just have to answer a very simple question. Do we want to make up the numbers, or do we want to be the best in the world? And I would argue that if we want to be the best in the world, we have to seriously look at the structure of the game. And everyone talks about football, which is the great panacea for us all to copy. But with this row that's going on at the moment, we've got one chance to make sure that England have a chance of winning a major domestic trophy. And let's face it, in all the three sports, we haven't won anything since 1966. So I would argue at the moment that we haven't got the structure right.
Now, you've almost got a triple-barreled name these days. You know, Lawrence Dallaglio, England captain. Has that changed your life?
I'm trying not to let it change my life. I mean, I think as a captain, whether you know whatever sport you're playing in, you want to make sure you're playing well, and that's been my objective, just to concentrate on the rugby, and really let the captaincy issue take care of itself. And I've always been a firm believer, particularly in rugby, that you need 15 captains on the field. So obviously, you know, the Will Carling and everything that he was associated with has raised the profile of the game. But I wouldn't like to think it's affected me in any way, no.
Something I'm sure that must have affected you, though, well, obviously affected you, and many people watching might not be aware of this. Your sister was one of the victims of the Marchioness disaster when you were just 17 years old.
Yeah.
Has that, in an odd way, acted as a great spur to the rest of your life?
Well, it certainly puts life into perspective, and I was literally on another planet for a couple of years after that tragedy. But my sister was incredibly talented, incredibly hard-working, and in a funny kind of way, that made me even more determined to be successful. And I'd like to think that a lot of things I've achieved have been dedicated to her, certainly.
Because we saw some pretty proud parents there in that Royston Ffrench film. How much do you think have your achievements helped your parents get over that appalling loss?
I think, you know, enormously. You know, you can never forget, but I think, you know, rugby has been a kind of therapy, not only for me, but for the whole family. And my mum and dad watch every game, be it Wasps, even when I was playing in the second team, you know, one man and his dog watching, or right the way through to Twickenham, 75,000, and, you know, they were there on Saturday as well. And Mum's not quite picking the team just yet, but she's very enthusiastic about it all.
Because your dad's Italian. Who does he want to win when England play Italy?
I think he wants England to win, but he would be the cool, calm, collected Italian that say, you know, the best side may win, but he'd want England to win.
Sure. Well, of course, you didn't beat France. France won a Grand Slam yesterday, their second consecutive Grand Slam, and that was due largely to one of the greatest ever individual performances seen on a rugby field.
The word is about, there's something evolving. Whatever may come, the world keeps revolving. They say the next big thing is here, that the revolution's near. But to me it seems quite clear that it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
Would you welcome the man who gave this season's championship some real French polish, Thomas Castaignede. Now, when you got replaced with 10 minutes to go at Wembley yesterday, 60,000 people stood to applaud you. What did that feel like?
Well, I was happy because, well, you know, we weren't in France, and to all this public was very happy of the spectacle we did on the ground. But I think it was not for me; it was for all the team, because I benefits of all the good things that they made, and I was only a piece of the puzzle.
How good could this French team be?
We can be really good, but we can be really bad, like we did against South Africa in September. But you know, we have to be more consistent and to stay in the same level. Like England, I think we got the same problems. Sometimes we are good and sometimes bad.
Lawrence was saying there that he almost doubts if England are good enough at the moment because of the structure here to win the World Cup. Do you think France are good enough to win the World Cup?
I don't think so. I don't think yet. We are in late. New Zealand and South Africa, they are very up, and I think we are on the same level with Australia, but we have to work more. But like I told with Lawrence, and they can be prepared, and they got 2 months or 3 months to get stronger when the season is finished. And I think us, we don't have time to get ready for a new one. They ask us to make so many games, 50 games a year. You can be good each time, and you can perform. You go worse and worse.
It's the same problems that Lawrence was talking about. So one thing I must ask you, though, in this country we have great sporting heroes like Alan Shearer and people like that. But in France it seems that your heroes are Ginola, Cantona, Leconte, Blanco, people like you. You have a sort of a je ne sais quoi. You know, what is it about French sporting stars that gives you that swagger?
Well, you know, I don't know. In France, maybe we have a different spirit of taking things, and it's a different style of life. So, we don't have to do like the English, and the English we don't do the same. They want to opposite us, but I think we are complementary. And well, me, I like the way the English are doing, but. You know, in life you have to do what you want, and you have to love the people you want. And me, yeah, of course, I have some big stars in my head that make me love some sports and some things. But you know,
I must ask you too. You're 5'9", and you are 11 stone, and he is 6'5" and a lot more stone. Are you proof that size doesn't matter still in rugby union?
Well, you know, in rugby is maybe the only sport that people of different physique can play, and I think that's the charm of this game. And there's clever people.
Not so clever people.
That's the difference. But you know, the thing is to find in the other the thing you don't have, and to try to be complementarity on the ground.
Sure. I must also ask you, because you are a part-time rugby player, because you're also an engineering student doing atmospheric pollution. So are we all going to die?
Maybe. Sure. Well, yes, but I finished my study. I think it's important for me. Maybe I can get injured, and I was 1 year more to finish. And this year I'm finished, but I begin to be bored of this, and I hope to play rugby more and to do this World Cup.
Sure. Final question to both of you, because you've hit rugby at just the right time for both of you in terms of the financial rewards and everything else that goes with it. But Lawrence, start with you. Do you think that rugby now is better than it was in the old days when people played for fun?
I think there's still arguments to suggest not necessarily. I think professionalism, certainly in England, and I would say the same in France, has still got a long, long way to go. You know, people would argue that we watch the Super 12 every week, and why can't you play like that? So I'd say we can get fitter, we can get better, we can get more skillful. So I would argue that you know, the greats like Gareth Edwards and Jonathan Davis and all these guys would probably say we just had just as much skill. There's no doubt it has become a very physical game, and it's certainly got a lot faster. But then again, it's refereed totally differently. So the argument could rage on and on, I think.
Thomas?
Well, yeah, there's a big difference when it's the same thing in France. When we look at TV and the people, they don't understand why we can play like that. But you know, like we say, the referee is different, and the way of playing is different, and you don't know at the end of the season if you will go down or go up, and you play for fun, and that's the game that they make.
You still play for fun?
Yeah, I keep playing for fun.
Well, you were fantastic fun at Wembley yesterday. It was an awesome performance. Thank you very much for coming. And Lawrence, good luck in the summer with England as well. Thomas Castaignede, Lawrence Dallaglio. Well, we've got Easter Monday off. Match of the day is here instead, with Arsenal taking their turn at Blackburn Rovers. But in 2 weeks' time, among our guests, Gianluca Vialli, Dennis Wise, Nadia Comaneci and Andre Agassi. See you in a fortnight. Thank you.
You know, for 75 years, the BBC has been out there doing all kinds of wonderful programming that we here in the United States get pieces of. You know, we don't get to see all of it. But what we get is always really, really great. Things like Ab Fab, The Goon Show, and Monty Python. That's how we found out what was going on and what was humorous and the different types of humor. I'm really glad that y'all are there, because in a funny way, it's a standard. It's always nice to see that sign, BBC, because you kind of know it means quality.
What's happening on celluloid now on BBC One, Film 98.